Well, hello, my friends. It's such a joy today to have with me my daughter, Shelly. Yesterday, we had Asher with us. He was on his spring break and taking a rest. And our theme was about rest yesterday. And I want to build on that theme today because I believe it's such an important theme that we need to hear and practice in our culture today. Now, we're not promoting laziness by no means, but I think that there's a sense in our culture today, both in the church and outside the church, of just working and working, and maybe even in the church, ministry without taking a time of rest. Well, I asked my daughter to join me today. As I mentioned before, most of you that know us, she has 3 boys, and I can tell you after being with her for a week, and knowing that she has her hands full, and those of you that have kids that are close in age, and whether it's boys or girls, I know you have your hands full. But she also not only working with her sons, and beautiful kids, don't get me wrong, we have a lot of fun with them, and they're precious, but she doesn't get a lot of rest, and also working with the Chi Alpha and the ministry she's involved in. So I've asked her to join me today and talk about how she gets rest and takes time both spiritually and physically. Shelley, good to have you today. Just give us a little rundown of what you do to kind of get some rejuvenation,
Well, you are not wrong. There's never a dull moment in our household, but it's a lot of fun. But a couple things I'll share. One, I remember when I was a new mom, Asher was really small, and we were at a Chi Alpha conference, and Alicia Sholey was there, and she taught this one part. She talked about. She said, especially a lot of times with moms, and it's really hard because it's like, I got to do the dishes, I got to change diapers, I got to wash clothes, I got to do this and this. And she said it's really important to learn to discipline our minds to think, instead of to think about it as God and us in the we. So the way she worded it was like thinking in the we. And we are doing dishes, we are doing diapers and so forth. And so I think that carries on even into our day offs, because sure, you can take a day off and sit around and watch movies all day and your body might feel rested, but I think God gives us more than just a day off, but that Sabbath of like being refreshed spiritually. And so I think that can kind of be combined and carried into, and I think each person figures out what works for them and how they are refreshed spiritually and physically. But I think for me, a lot of times, Jake is so good at like switching off and tag teaming our ministry and our family time and our kid time. And so a lot of times he'll watch the boys and let me go off. And so for me, a lot of time that looks like going to a coffee shop and reading or writing and journaling, and just that is so therapeutic for me. It's like restful spiritually, physically, just all across the board. Sometimes I just get my camera and go off in nature and take pictures, but and just look at creation and see what God, and just talk with the Lord. So I think sometimes you can combine that physical and spiritual rest, and a lot of time that's what I do. And then sometimes, of course, we'll do it as a family. We might have, like, on our day off, we might just have a jammy day, and we'll let the boys watch cartoons and we'll just sit around and read. So I think it is different for us, but those are some of the things that we do. But I do remember a friend saying that she does this every Sabbath, every day that she takes her Sabbath in. I can't say I do it every week, but I love it. And I've tried to incorporate this into our days. But like, I like to journal. So a lot of times I will just journal about my previous week. I like reflecting and just thinking about, prayerfully doing that, and just asking the Lord, okay, what did I do right this week? Who did I talk with? Who did I share you with? How was my attitude? How did I respond in these situations? And I'll literally write it down. Some people don't like to write, so you might not like that. But for me, I like to just write it down, and then I'll say, okay, where did I mess up this week? Maybe where I responded poorly, or I made a bad choice, or whatever. And then I just pray about it, and I'm like, okay, God, help me in these areas. Thank you for the strength in these areas. But you can kind of take those days of rest and use that also as like reflection, and it's good for growth and whatnot. And so for me as a mom, it's crazy and wild and fun. And so I think the two things, one, just discipline on our minds to realize that the Lord is with you all day. And then in those moments where I can, sometimes I grab moments while they're napping. Sometimes I grab moments when they go to bed. We put them to bed pretty early so we can have a little bit of quiet time in the evening, but usually I'm pretty exhausted by then and I'm out too. But it's that you just find times where you can to relax and reflect and just spend time with the Lord.
You mentioned something about taking a day off. Don't you? How do you feel about that? About having time off?
I think you need it. And I think that, the Lord talks about taking a day of a Sabbath and taking a day. But like I said, I really try to combine it with refreshing spiritually and physically. Because, you can take a day off and just do only things that are refreshing physically, but then your spirit is still, it's not like refreshed necessarily. And so I think you can combine the two sometimes, and whatever that looks like for you, that's kind of what it looks like for us.
I want to close with this. Thanks, Shelley. Let me just close with this scripture in Ephesians chapter 5, verse number 16. It says, redeeming the time because the days are evil. And I think it's so important that we use our time wisely and we watch what we do, and like you said, not just physically, but spiritually too, that we use our time wisely so we can be strengthened both spiritually and physically. Mm-hmm. So anyway, God bless you. We look forward to talking with you again tomorrow. God bless and have a wonderful day. Thanks, Shelley, for being with us. Bye-bye.